वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So we are on 24th verse of the 4th chapter. Maybe just 1 minute we can revise what we discussed last time, and then we will continue. Any quick points? You can
whatever flow of the Bhagavad Gita you mentioned. We were just discussing.
Oh, not last class. Okay, okay. Just like that. General discussion. Okay.
Which
What?
we took last time also. Because last time because so
Last
many-
revision.
revision.
Okay, okay. Okay, correct. Yeah, what is
We discussed the point on action and action
is that?
point. And then I got a question in my head that it was Krishna who wanted Arjun to fight the Mahabharata because people had to die and Arjun was the source of those people dying because it's Krishna who makes us do things. But then why did Pandavas had to face suffering after the war ended? Like they had to go to Nark. Like if I read stories, like they had to fall off a mountain and die.
Is it okay if I take the question at the end?
Okay, bro.
Not directly in. Of course, you talked about inaction, action, that one.
Yes.
So, good question, but I'll take it at the end.
Okay.
You should not forget
I'll
the question.
remember, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay, so last time, maybe you can just take the previous verses 420. We'll just do from this. It's a good revision. My kind request, if you find difficulty in remembering points, you can also write it down. Four. Okay, so what is the title of chapter 4? Okay, very good. Why not moving? Okay, if you take 19th, can you take 19th words? 19th. So, verses from 19 to 24, Krishna is explaining what are the symptoms, because just before that, he explained about who is an intelligent person, one who can see action in action and action action. Such a person is called as intelligent. Um, Let me see if there's a word used. Intelligent among men. 18th verse. Okay. See, Krishna says, Karmanya karma ya pashyet akarmani cha karma yaha sa buddhiman manusheshu sa yukta kritsna karma krit. In 18th verse. So he says, sa buddhiman manusheshu, amongst human beings in general, amongst men in general, that person who can understand action, action, inaction, action. Such a person is called as intelligent, buddhiman. And how do you identify such a person? What are, do they have different color? Do they wear cape? Do they wear they wear saffron? Maybe they wear underwear over the pant like superheroes, isn't it? So what are the symptoms? So how to identify? He says in verse number 19 to 24. So first of all, one who knows how to perform a karma, how to act in such a way that he doesn't get bound in this world, such a person, by his actions he's burning up his karma. Why to burn up karma? You can very in a free flow you can just quickly answer every question. If I wait, it will take too long. Why to burn up? Yeah. Mhm. So what is it to do with karma? I mean more specific, you're right. Little more specific, yeah. Yasya sarva, maybe you can repeat after me. Is 19? Yasya sarve samarambhaha काम संकल्प वर्जिताः ज्ञानाग्निदग्ध कर्माणम् तमाहु पंडितम बुधा. So act in such a way that you burn up your actions, the reactions to your actions. This is art of smart work. Don't act in a way that you get bound by your actions, isn't it? So you have to act in this world when you're there, but in such a way that after this world you go to transcendental world, the spiritual world. Then your actions are said to be the best of actions. So therefore, Krishna says such a person is panditam. Can someone read translation?
One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge.
Yeah. So the person who is performing a karma, whom Krishna considers to be intelligent amongst men, such a person doesn't put endeavor for sense gratification. Mm. That means he is living a life of yajna. You will now understand the concept of yajna in further verses. So he's said to be a sage, or he's said to be said by the sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burnt up by the fire of perfect knowledge. So I won't go through purport, we've already done this. And 20th. So the 20th verse talks about while he's practicing karma yoga, what are some of the symptoms? It's called as Arurukshu stage. If you wish, you can remember the Sanskrit. But otherwise, in the sadhana stage, there is sadhana stage, that is while practicing, and then there is stage of perfection, when that is called siddhi or arudha. So 20th verse talks about when he is practicing this karma yoga, what are some of the symptoms? Please repeat. Tyaktva karma phala sangam
त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गं
nitya tripto nirashayah
नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः
karmanya
कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि
naiva kinchit karoti saha.
नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः.
Translation.
Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings.
Yeah. So what are some of the symptoms? Can you tell me? What are symptoms? Yeah, he is detached, abandoning attachment. And then attachment to what?
Fruits of his action.
Yeah, you should not see actually. Yeah. Yeah, he is detached from the fruits of his activities. Hmm. Okay, one. And then desires. What is the word used? You can say, okay, tripta. He's completely satisfied. So he's devoid of material desires. Okay. And then
Anything he does for the pleasure of Krishna.
it's not mentioned here, but you can say that. I'm speaking of specific
Okay.
qualifications mentioned in this verse. He's always satisfied. Yeah. Correct? No? It's in English. He's always satisfied. Such a person, he is not expecting. He doesn't have expectations from the material world. Till the time we have expectations in the material world, till that time we will be suffering. Prahlad Maharaj has a happiness formula. He says you can be happy in this world if you stop looking for happiness. Because when you're looking for happiness, immediately you have expectations, and those expectations may not be met for most part of it. So therefore, first is he's detached from the results of his activities. Second is ever satisfied with whatever comes in his way, because he knows he treats everything as mercy of Krishna. I did my best. Did I get 100% or 60%? No problem. Now, of course, he can improve his performance, but he's satisfied. He doesn't complain about the results. And third one is He's satisfied and independent. Independent means he is nirashrayaha is the word used. That means he doesn't seek material shelter. For him, it's not that if I have money, then I'm safe. He knows whether he has money, he has education, degree, still the material world is a dangerous place. So he has actually given up material shelters. Do you understand the word material shelter? Or is it very difficult to understand? For example, you will find in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a story of Gajendra, the elephant. So Gajendra, when he was in this, what is the name of the garden? He was in this particular garden. He was going for a pleasure trip with his girlfriends, Gajendra the elephant. So when he stepped inside the water and he was calling his girlfriends also, immediately from below the water, crocodile immediately clasps one of his foot. And my relatives cannot help me. My close people cannot help me. My parents cannot help me. So then he thought, I need some supernatural help. I need some supernatural help. That is the time he immediately plucked a lotus from the lake there and he offered it. He immediately raised it to the sky. And the demigods sitting in the clouds, they thought probably he's going to call out to me. All demigods were thinking like that. So now if he calls out to me, who will be the hero of the story? Me, the demigod will be. So then they're all ready. They tighten their belt and about to jump as soon as Gajendra would call their name. So that is the time Gajendra said, Narayana, Akhila Guru, Bhagavan Namaste. I am calling out to the Supreme Lord Narayana, who is Bhagavan Namaste means he is full in six opulences. That means he is all powerful. There is no obstacle for him. Our demigod, Akhila means he's all pervasive. He's everywhere. Hare Krishna. So therefore I call out to that Narayan. So the Bhagavatam explains, actually the Acharyas explain, now Lord Vishnu, when he was so eager to save Gajendra from this plight, that he immediately started running. As soon as he got this call from Gajendra, from Vaikunta, Vishnu wanted to descend. But then he called for his Vahana, Garuda. But then he felt Garuda is a little slow. So what did Vishnu do? He picked up Garuda on his back and Vishnu came with Garuda on his back. Vishnu became the Vahana. So in this way you will find how Gajendra, he sought different shelters but no one could help. Have you been in such a situation? To some degree. You are calling your friends but mobile switched off. Parents, night time. Money, nothing in the pocket. Everything in online and credit card is at home. Yeah, no shelters. That time only one thing you can do, offer a prayer. It is said even when the NASA, when one of the Apollo missions failed, they spoke out to the control room and they said, please pray for us. Why? Because when everything fails, when you have no material shelter, there's one always available shelter, that is spiritual shelter. So that's the meaning. Independent means a person a karma yogi understands my actions will not protect me, my capacity will not protect me, my people around me, my relatives, my close people, or the money, my possessions, they all cannot protect me. Especially the insurance policy cannot protect me, isn't it? What will protect me is the Supreme Lord, and therefore he is called as independent. You can see independent is written Nirashreyaha. So what are the three qualifications of such a person who is on the path of karma yoga? Yes, independent of what? Yeah, material shelter. Yeah, then completely satisfied whatever comes. Okay, and then he detached to the fruits of his activities. Correct. These are the three symptoms. Yeah. Mike, you have Mike. Yeah. Here's a question.
So, Jendra might have past karma.
Past karma of what?
Crocodile would bite his brother.
Of course, yeah. That's all karma.
Hare Krishna, bro. So this is like full on condition, that means taking of no material shelter. So the one example, other example is of Draupadi, right?
Correct.
So Prabhu, how do we see that the Pandavas were devotees, all Draupadi also devotee. How do, and that time the marriage was based on more on spiritual level, not on material level. I mean, not,
Okay.
yeah, you get
I
my
mean, I'm not
point.
sure if that time marriage was based on spiritual level. At least for Pandavas, yes, it was.
And that there were devotees. So for a woman to take the shelter of a husband, it's in one sense it's like more of a spiritual,
Hmm.
not completely
So she
material.
took no. She took shelter of whom? Krishna. No?
Right.
He is the real husband, the Lord of our lives, as we say, isn't it? Yeah. Having forgotten that relationship, then we seek other shelters here. That's the whole highlight of the fasting. So see, why did Bhishma not say anything? Why did Drona not say anything? Actually, Bhishma knew this scene is meant for Krishna to become famous. So therefore, they all kept quiet. From one, if you just read Mahabharata, then you will get a very moralistic point of view. But actually, when you read Srimad Bhagavatam, you get a complete understanding. So this is a time when Krishna uses his pure devotees to show to the whole world what does it mean to be a pure devotee. If Draupadi was not put in such a situation, how many of us could understand the devotion of Draupadi? Just imagine someone is okay. Maybe men do not wear saris. I mean, you can keep money in your pocket, isn't it? And some crazy guy is snatching your wallet from your pocket, and you're holding onto your wallet, isn't it? You're trying your best, and you're calling out to police. No one is there. You're knocking on some door. No one is there, but this crazy person is after you. So finally, you are up against him one on one. You're holding your pocket, and he's trying to snatch it from you. Now he's not ready to let go. Can you take shelter of Krishna by saying, "Hey Govinda, hey Krishna, hey Dwarka Vasim"? Your wallet will go. We don't have faith, no? Draupadi, her sari was how much long, isn't it? But she let go. So it's not a small thing. Only pure devotees can do. In case Krishna would put any of us who are not, I mean, many of you would be pure devotees. But say if you would have put me, then if Krishna wanted to use me to glorify devotion to Krishna or surrender to Krishna, how Krishna protects, probably I wouldn't have given up. So the whole Krishna's plan would have become flop. So therefore Krishna uses only pure devotees for such things. So Draupadi is they're all pure devotees. That's the whole highlight of the fasting. We have done no, Karma 101, Karma 201, Karma 301. You are not there for that class, I think.
Draupadi had mental suffering.
Okay, quickly I will tell you what is Karma 101. What is Karma 101? Karma 101 means for materialistic people, they are being driven, the challenges or success, whatever so called comes in their life, is because of the karma. Okay, Karma 201, our pure devotees. Why do the pure devotees suffer? Actually, they don't suffer. The pure devotees are being put in such a condition by Krishna to glorify their exalted qualities, isn't it? Like if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, Kunti is actually praying to Krishna when Krishna is about to leave from Hastinapur back to Dwarka. She's saying, "My dear Krishna, please stay back." And she offers a beautiful set of prayers. And one of the prayers Kunti is saying, not Kunti, Kunti. So Kunti is saying that whatever troubles we have gone through, which includes, the Pandavas trying to be burnt in the house made of lac, Bhima being poisoned, or the Vanvas, or Draupadi being disrobed, and so many other problems. Kunti is praying to Krishna, let all these problems come again and again. You think she's, on drugs or she's crazy? Would anyone pray for such a thing? But actually, she says, Vipada Santuta Shashwatatta Tatta Jagadguru. And she says, I want these problems again and again because through these problems, we get to see you. You see the nature of a pure devotee? Actually, they don't see problem. They see that whatever situation, am I able to connect with Krishna? So in Karma 201, we see why does Krishna put pure devotees in such situations? Just to glorify their devotion. If Draupadi or Kunti or Pandavas were not put in such situation, we would never get to know who they are. Or we would never get to know what is pure devotion. Nor do we have gotten to know how does Krishna protect these devotees. Then Karma 301 is for, say, sadhakas like us. Why do we undergo suffering, even though we are trying to become Krishna conscious? For the sadhakas like us, Krishna takes the karma. Say you're chanting, how many rounds you're chanting now? Daily?
secret, Prabhu. I don't want to tell everyone here.
Okay,
They
up
would
to
get
you.
inspired maybe and then not come to class.
They can get inspired.
If I inspire people, they might not show up.
Okay. Okay, so say for example you're chanting couple of rounds. So when you're chanting couple of rounds, it is said that Krishna, even for a person who chants just one round, Krishna takes away all his karmic baggage. Then you should not suffer at all. So where does the suffering come from? Still, for a sadhaka, because he has not purified his heart, Krishna, from his own, Krishna has taken the karma baggage. From that karmic baggage, Krishna reduces the karma and sends little because he knows this fellow still needs purification. So Krishna still allows certain amount of karma to come, which we call as token punishment. Is that clear? So you have three categories of people. You have materialistic people, pure devotees, and sadhakas. And
Prabhuji,
differently.
where is this description mentioned about karma of three ways of the working of karma?
This you will get from Acharya's commentaries of Srimad Bhagavatam. And when you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, the purport you will find. There's no consolidated way, but our teachers teach it like this. But there are examples for each one of them. Yeah, is that clear, Anand Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So getting back to Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, so these are the three qualities of one who is a sadhaka. And then the stage of perfection, one who is siddha, we saw last time. We'll just go to the English. You can count. Okay, how many symptoms I mentioned. I'll just read from here. First one is he's free from desires. Second, self-controlled. Third, free from sense of proprietorship. That means he feels, he understands everything belongs to Krishna. Fourth, he doesn't put so much endeavor for materialistic living, the bare necessity. See, this is the stage of perfection. You don't have to imitate this. But he only acts for the bare necessities of life. Fifth is he doesn't incur any sin. Sixth, he's satisfied with whatever comes of its own accord. Seventh is he's tolerant of dualities. Eighth is he's free from envy. Ninth, steady in both success and failure. 10th, he's never entangled, although performing actions. 11th, unattached to the modes of material nature. That means even if it's mind, his mind says, don't chant today, he'll still chant. He doesn't care what the mind says. And then 12th, fully situated in transcendental knowledge. That means the complete knowledge is revealed in his heart. And 13 is acts for the sake of yajna, or yajna means Krishna. He only acts for Krishna conscious purpose. And samagram praviliyate, that is last one, doesn't incur reactions and merges into transcendence. That means consciousness always posted on a transcendental platform. 14. I just went through the symptoms because these are the symptoms of a person on a complete perfected stage, siddha. So might not be very relevant for us. So therefore I just went through it. So from 24th verse onwards, the concept of yajna is spoken about till verse number 33. But we will see maybe 24 to 34. Okay, 24 to 33 actually. So a lot of verses to cover, but it all explains one concept. So therefore we can cover a big chunk. Okay, can you come 24th verse? Yeah, did you get it? Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva tena gantavyam Brahma karma samadhina. Very important verse. Maybe one of you can read translation. Who has the mic? You have to switch on every time, switch off every time, or how is it? Okay, that's best. Switch on, switch off. You read.
A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consumption is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature.
Hmm? Okay, I'll explain all this purport. One example Prabhupada gives is a patient who is suffering from a disorder of the bowels due to overindulgence in milk is cured by another milk product, namely yogurt. The materially absorbed conditioned soul can be cured by Krishna consciousness as set forth here in the Gita. And this process generally known as yajna. Where have we heard of yajna before? Any idea? You can just show the verse. Where have you heard of yajna before? Hmm? Just this? Hmm. No, before also in previous chapter.
Is yagna like yagya they do? Is that the same thing or no?
It's one of them, one of the examples. There's much more to yajna. But have you heard of yajna before?
I mean,
Anyone
I'm
remembers?
thinking
Yeah?
of like the discussion which we did where we sacrifice something to get something, or
Yeah,
sacrifice
correct.
done to please demigods. To
Very good.
get
Yes. Actually, in this world, there's always a annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhavaha yajnad bhavati parjanyo. So he's saying we need grains which will nourish the body. But who gives you the grains? For grains, you need rains.
rains.
Because without rain, there's no grain. So, but who can give you rain? Demigods. Yajnad bhavati parjanyo. Yajnad karma samudbhavaha. Now, to please the demigods, you have to perform yajna. That means sacrifice, which is pleasing to the demigods. So, those actions you have to perform. So, therefore, for yajna, you need karma. Yajna karma samudbhavaha. Now, how do you know what action to be performed that will please the demigods?
Would be written in the Shastra.
Shastra, very good. Now, who has written the Shastra?
God himself.
Yeah, it's the word of God, Vedas. So, therefore, it is word of God. So, therefore, in that way, you will find there's a cycle. And therefore, it is being said, Anna nourishes your bodies, you do karma, or you refer to Shastras. From Shastra, you do karma, from karma, you do yajna. Yajna please the demigods. Demigods give you rains. Rains give you grains. Grain nourish your body. That is a cycle. The cycle of sacrifice. So the whole concept now from this verse onwards, it talks about yajna, but not just any yajna. This is talking about Brahmarpanam. What is the common, you can say, what is it, denominator or a factor, common factor here? Brahma. You can remove Brahma out, put a bracket to all of them. Brahma into Arpanam, Havir, Agni, Huta, isn't it? So Brahma is a common factor. So what does Brahma mean? What does Brahma mean? Ever heard of this word Brahma? Sorry. Creator? No.
It's a form of Lord.
It's a form of Lord.
The one with knowledge.
No. What does Aham Brahmasmi mean?
Conscious.
I am God himself.
I am God himself.
I am Brahma.
I am Brahma. I am Brahma. So what is Brahma?
I have God in me.
It's Krishna.
Okay. Anything else?
Consciousness.
Consciousness.
Someone
Something more? Yeah.
Someone with knowledge.
Someone with knowledge. A person with knowledge. Is it?
Manifestation.
Manifestation. Where are you getting these words from?
Someone spiritual in nature.
Yeah, very good. Haribo. Brahma means spiritual. So therefore, Aham Brahmasmi means not I am God. It means I am spiritual by nature. That's Aham Brahmasmi. Therefore, the distinguishing factor between God and us is we can address ourselves as Brahman, then we address the Supreme Lord as Parabrahman. Yeah. So in this verse, it is said, this verse talks about yajna. Can you give some of the constituents of yajna? In a yajna, what is required? Okay, you can see here. Yeah, ghee. Agni, and then what else? You can see in this verse.
Samida,
Sorry.
Samida, the wood in which
Okay. Ahoti samagri. Samagri. These are my notes. See what constitutes yajna? First, you need to have oblations. Then you have instruments, samagri. Then you have fire. Then you have the person who does the yajna. Then you have the result for the purpose for which the yajna is being performed. And then also what is important is absorption. That means complete focus while performing. I think it's fine. I'm gonna switch back to the verse because you said there's a problem, no? You said there's a problem.
And there might be.
Okay, might. Yeah. So what is okay? Someone can first read the translation. Did someone read it? Did it? Okay. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, say absorption, samadhina, is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom. That is result. And because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute, that means everything is spiritual, and that means what is being taken is spiritual, that which is being offered is spiritual, the agni and what is being offered ingredients, and the person who is offering, he's also spiritual. So this such a yajna gives, what is the result of this yajna? Material desires. No, what is the perform like this Brahma, that Brahma karma samadhina. When you perform, is saying the arpan, what you offer is spiritual, the agni is spiritual, the instrument is spiritual, the offerer is spiritual in consciousness, completely absorbed in spiritual platform. Then what is the result? Yes, that means spiritual world. Yeah. So for us, maybe we can just reflect. Have in this world, have you ever done any sacrifice for anyone? Like sacrifice in its Oxford dictionary meaning, not as yajna. Yeah. So how did you feel when you sacrificed for someone? You felt good. Okay. You will feel a pinch. Why should I do it? We generally feel we feel satisfied. That's the nature of yajna. And of
Sacrifice could be of any types, right? So yajna
correct.
is just yajna is one type of.
Yeah. So when we talk about yajna doesn't mean the fire sacrifice. That is one type of sacrifice.
And so people
can-
who fast on Ekachi, that's a sacrifice they do.
That's also sacrifice. That is what Brahma Karma Samadhina with a spiritual purpose.
So if someone's fasting for on Ekachi, they're doing it for sacrifice for Krishna. Like they want to attain Krishna, that's why they're fasting.
Correct.
So are sacrifices important to progress or they're not important?
No, very important. Therefore, it's in the Gita. Yeah. There's no progress. There's no progress without sacrifice.
So if you sacrifice for demigods, they are also fine. If you sacrifice for Krishna, they are both are of same level. There is
Yeah.
no
So now what
difference.
we will see is in the further verses, Krishna is saying a practitioner of any path has to make some sacrifice. It's not only on the spiritual path, or in Krishna consciousness, you have to sacrifice. You want a particular result, you have to sacrifice. So in this Subodhini is written, see, yajna is not just a fire sacrifice, but any activity performed to attain a certain goal is yajna.
It is like you need to give one thing to attain something.
Correct. Yes, that is yajna, sacrifice. But here Krishna is not, that's therefore I said, this is not just yajna what we're discussing. What Krishna is talking about here is spiritual yajna. Brahma karma samadhina. Other sacrifice, other just of yajna for demigods we discuss in third chapter, in the cycle of sacrifice.
Yes.
But here Krishna is saying why one should perform spiritual yajna. So therefore, I mean, before we even proceed ahead, in whatever role we accept in our life, we have to sacrifice something. How many of you are students here studying, actively studying? Okay. So what are some of the things the students have to sacrifice? Sleep. Okay. but I think they cover it in the daytime. Sacrifice time. I don't.
Earnings.
Student has to sacrifice earnings. Actually, student means he doesn't have earnings. Sorry, I'm not
No, I
talking from
mean,
modern concept.
like,
I'm talking from Vedic concept. Student doesn't work. Family. He has sacrifice family. Yeah. Then what is it? Not just what does it mean to sacrifice? Not the sacrifice family. Yeah. What else? Student. All of your students. Ego. Enjoyment. Very good. He has to sacrifice sensual pleasures. Someone who is engaged in sensual pleasures cannot study properly. You know that? Yeah, because the mind becomes dull with sense gratification. So if you want the mind to be very sharp, he has to perform austerities. So sacrifice. Like in India, those who want to get into IIT, like at least 2-3 years before writing the IIT J exam, they don't watch movies at all. 2-3 years. Anyone tried that before here? You did that? Okay, good. Yeah, it's a sacrifice. A yajna is a sacrifice. What else a student has to sacrifice? See, students, no sacrifice. They're completely dependent on whatever comes our way. Yes, oh, you said something. What did you say?
I said hobbies.
Okay, yeah, it's something casual here and there. Wasting extra wasting of time. Sometimes we have to sacrifice that in pursuit of studies. Okay, thank you. Anything else?
So he should be, completely in the to the he should follow the order of his guru or teachers. So if mind is saying do n things, but teacher is saying do.
Very good. He has to sacrifice his independent mentality. Very good.
Isn't that ego, Prabhu? You have to follow orders even if you don't.
No, ego actually ahankar means identity. You have to sacrifice identity. Okay, good. Okay, 2 points for Yoganand Prabhu. Others, 1 point for Prabhu. What's your name, Prabhu? I forgot. Nishant. Others? What else the student has to sacrifice? What are you guys sacrificing? Comfort. Very good. You have to sometimes sacrifice the comfort. If you are very comfortable, then you cannot study. You cannot be a student. Therefore, in Gurukul system, at the age of 5, the students were sent to Gurukul to live with the Guru, where they would sleep on the floor. Because too much comfort means senses too much satisfied. That means one cannot become very sharp. One cannot learn. Hmm. One will always be seeking comforts. Very good. 1 point for Gaurav also. There's so many things you have to sacrifice.
Social life.
Yeah, unnecessary social life. Yes, one has to sacrifice that. For example, in the Vedic, if you study any of the Vedic literatures, student, Sanskrit term for the student is Vidyarthi nahi. Shishya's disciple. Or student life. Vedic time. Sorry? No, that's disciple. He tried. Brahmachari. Very good. Student life means brahmacharya. Do you know that? It's an ashram, but that's meant for student life. Why? Why is student life meant for brahmacharis? Or why is student life and brahmacharis is the same period? If you're a student, one is supposed to be practicing brahmacharya. Yes, to avoid distraction. They have sacrificed distractions. Today, most distracted age is student life. All kinds of distractions are there only in student life. When people get married, they're a little more, settled. Isn't it? They're a little more focused. This all has impact on how we study. Some things are there, of course, where we just score marks. It's not about scoring marks. It's really getting educated in culture. So, what is real education? Is not technical knowledge. That's not real education. Education comes from the word educare, a Latin or Greek word, which means to bring what is within without, to bring all these good qualities. Therefore, student would be sent to the ashram of a guru called as Gurukul, where he would get some technical knowledge to maintain his livelihood later on in case he wants to get married. But the main thing of his education, main aspect of his education is to get educated in culture and good qualities. And of all the good qualities, the most important quality is devotion to God. And these things cannot be cultivated when one is living casually, however one wants. Therefore, Chanakya, if I'm not wrong, he says Bakodhyanam, Kakacheshta Bakodhyanam, Alpaharyevacha, Shwanidra Grihatyagi, Vidyarthi Panchalakshanam. He gives 5 qualities of a student. What are the 5 qualities? First one is focus of a crane, cleverness of a crow. Then eating not too much. Alpahari means little eating. Not that eating too much, sleeping too much. Not for a student. And Shwan Nidra. Naturally, his sleep is like that of a dog. You have seen how dogs sleep, right? In India, they sleep in the daytime. I've seen it. Yeah. You might cover it in the weekend. Yeah, you don't sacrifice so much sleep. Yeah. Well, what do you actually sacrifice? Time, and everyone sacrifice for every activity. As soon as this concept of yajna, the time is, of course, it's by default in everything. In corporate, you sacrifice relationship. For what reason? You don't have to do it. No. Sometimes health is done. Actually, if we work with proper moderation, how Krishna explained, you. Oh, really? Okay. I think the modern scenario is a little different from the Vedic scenario. Yeah. Okay, we can take. You have to follow your boss. Correct. Very good. Independent mentality applies. We can say, okay, vacation time. Student also, you said hobbies. And corporate life also, vacation time. Okay, what else? Corporate. You also agree some comforts. Yeah. You can say sometimes you have to sacrifice early morning sleep because that you have to get up early and go to office. You cannot keep sleeping unrestrictedly.
Sacrifice isn't something that you don't get anything in return. You're getting something in return. If they're sacrificing their sleep, they're getting compensated for that.
Not compensation. That's the result. There's a goal. Yajna concept. You sacrifice something to get something. That's the whole yajna concept.
But I understood it like on a spiritual path, but on a material level, how does sacrifice correlated?
How is it correlated?
Yes, like I don't feel like a person working is sacrificing anything.
You're not sacrificing anything.
A person who's working.
Ask your father. You'll get to know.
No, he's his own boss now.
He's a businessman.
Yeah.
Ask Alok Shrobu.
वो उसके भी father हो गए.
No, not his father. Ask him directly. What is
I
sacrifice?
don't feel he's sacrificing anything.
People do sacrifice. When you get a job, you will understand.
I am already working.
You're working. You don't sacrifice anything.
No.
You are free to do anything you want. Don't you feel you have to live a life of discipline?
I love discipline.
You love discipline. That's another thing. But you sacrifice some things, no?
I like
To be
waking up
disciplined.
early.
Yeah. So then you have to sacrifice. Your friends say, okay, let's go for a late night movie.
Then I'm sacrificing.
You're sacrificing. Yeah.
Enjoyment,
Because
enjoyment is sacrifice.
sense enjoyment. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I work in PSC time.
Oh,
So I
PSC.
don't have to wake up early.
Okay. It's all different case studies, case scenarios. But you have to.
Yes.
I mean, with little thought, you'll understand what I'm saying.
Enjoyment is sacrifice. That's the whole.
Yeah, sense
concept.
enjoyment is hard. So actually, if you see whether husband or whether as a wife, student or corporate or any of these roles you accept in this world, there is some amount of yajna we have to do, isn't it? On any path, even just materialistic. I'm not even talking about spiritual aspect. And if you see, just as we took out the common factor of Brahma, that means spiritual in this verse, similarly in all of these sacrifices, you can take out what do you sacrifice. Common factor is sense gratification. Yeah. From all of these, what we generally have to sacrifice is sense gratification. Even for material success. What to talk about spiritual success? So in this verse now, verses 25 to 33, we'll just quickly read. See, one more thing. In this verse, purport Prabhupada says, what is actually yajna? We're talking about concept of yajna, but if you have to really call something yajna, that sacrifice which is performed in transcendental consciousness, that is only yajna. That means that is a real yajna. Like everyone performs austerities, but real austerity means to attain Krishna. So everything is yajna, but real yajna means done in a transcendental consciousness. Okay, verse 25, please repeat. Daivam evapare yajnam yogina paryupasate brahmagnamapare yajnam yajnena evopajjuvati. Quick translation. The 1%, yeah. Whoever has, you can read everything. What?
Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them.
So, and second one is the Brahman worship. They are the Jnanis offer sacrifices in the fire of Brahman. And 26th. 26th. Feel free to go to the purport. श्रोत्रादीनीन्द्रियाण्यन्ये संयमाग्निषु जुह्वति शब्दादीन् विषयानन्य इन्द्रियाग्निषु जुह्वति. Continue.
And the regulated householder sacrifice the object of the senses in the fire of the senses.
Yeah, correct. So when one takes the Grihastha ashrama, the regulated householders, they get to enjoy what the brahmacharis cannot enjoy. They get to earn money and keep a bank account. Brahmacharis cannot. They get to have association of opposite sex. Brahmacharis cannot. So therefore, they sacrifice the object of the senses. So where is sacrifice for grihasthas, for married people? Where is sacrifice? Why is it written sacrifice the object of the senses? Yeah, it's restricted. Yes, not that unrestricted. Have how many ever wives you want. Not how many ever, whatever, how much ever money, how much ever profit. Not unrestricted engagement in material life. So restricted, therefore, is called as regulated householders. Then that means there's a restriction. As soon as there's a restriction on how much you can do, that is yajna. That means sacrifice. Next verse. सर्वानिन्द्रिय कर्माणि
सर्वांगेन्द्रिय कर्माणि
प्राण कर्माणि चापरे जुह्वति ज्ञानदीपिते.
others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses offer the functions of all the senses and of the life breath as oblation into the fire of the controlled mind.
So here Krishna is talking about the yogis. So they want self-control. So followers of the Patanjali yoga system offer the functions of the senses and life airs, pranavayus, in the fire of self-control. Why is it? Why do they sacrifice life breath? How do they sacrifice life breath?
By breathing less.
Actually, you're right. By breathing less. Because they don't have unrestricted breathing. They have to make sure through pranayam they regulate their breathing process. So there is sacrifice, restriction. And that's how they attain samadhi. Okay, next. So whom all did we discuss till now? Demigod worshippers. Then yogis, just now, okay. Householders, the brahmacharis, and
Students.
brahmacharis. Why? I'm just asking from Bhagavad Gita. What all? One more. The Supreme Brahman, impersonalists. So Brahma Jyoti. Supreme Brahman there is Brahma Jyoti.
Is
Okay,
Brahman
20.
Krishna itself.
Brahma Jyoti, light
Brahman
emanating
Jyoti
from
is
Krishna's
different.
body.
And Brahman is not Krishna.
Brahman means spiritual,
Supreme
general.
Brahman is who?
Supreme Brahman here in that verse is referring to Brahma Jyoti.
Brahman.
Okay, next one. Another verse. द्रव्ययज्ञास्तपो यज्ञ
Dravyajnastapoyajna
योगयज्ञास्तथा परे
yogayajnastapapare
स्वाध्यायज्ञानयज्ञाश्च
swadhyayajna
यतयः संशितव्रताः.
yataya having accepted strict vows, some become
Enlightened.
enlightened by sacrificing their possession, and other by performing serving austerities by practicing the yoga of eightfold
Mysticism.
mysticism or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge.
Very good. Yeah. So here Krishna is talking about Dravya Yajna is done by people who give charity. They give up possessions. And then austerity, Tapo Yajna is done by people who want to perform severe austerities to go to Tapaloka. And mysticism or Yoga Yajna is done by the practice of eightfold mysticism practice, that is Ashtanga yogis. Okay, 29th. Apane juvati pranam
Apane juvati
prane panam tatha pare
prane panam tatha pare
pranapanagati rudhva
pranapanagati ruddha
pranayama parayanaha
pranayama parayana
अपरे नियताहाराः प्राणान् प्राणेषु जुह्वति.
pranam praneshu juvati.
Actually, in the previous one, there was also one more scriptures, the Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. That was next previous one. No? That's the people who want to study scriptures. They also have to do sacrifice. Okay. Yeah, this one. Can you read?
Still others who are inclined to the process of breath restraint to remain in trance, practice by offering the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing, others
Curtailing the
curtailing
eating process.
the eating process, offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice.
Yeah, this is by the pranayama yogis. Read. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you don't have to get into technicalities. These are different practitioners of different type of yoga systems. So Krishna is just making the point: whatever system, whatever path you're following in this world, material or spiritual, there is some amount of sacrifice that is required. That means without discipline, there is no progress, whichever path. Yeah. Nowadays, people want, if you ask a person, do you practice spirituality? They say, yeah, I'm spiritual. I practice meditation. What kind of meditation? Yeah, I just go on YouTube and yeah, really. I'm not even exaggerating. People actually say, I just go on YouTube and do meditation. But we don't ask them what kind of meditation is that, because it makes no sense. Because today people think spirituality means freedom. Definitely it means freedom. Yeah, and some people do yoga. So definitely it does mean freedom, but how to attain the platform of freedom is through discipline, isn't it? In this world, if you have to make it to top levels in your corporate ladder, where sometimes you get little more breathing space, sometimes you don't have to come to the company, you just have your, isn't it? So to come to that level means to come to more freedom. If you want more freedom, there is discipline required. Yes.
So isn't like Sanatana Dharma a way of living life? So it's
Mm.
more of how to live a disciplined life so
Correct.
that you can induce spirituality in yourself.
Yeah. Induce spiritual, you're reawaken the spiritual nature. Yeah.
And while we use the word Brahman and you refer to the the Brahman Jyoti,
Mm.
if you look at other religions as well, they have a word called Abraham in it.
Mm.
And I was listening to a rabbi, and he was talking about like we all have that in common that we believe in God. the word Brahman. Like Hindus use
Correct.
Brahman and
Hmm.
Muslims use a Brahman. Jewish people
Hmm.
also use a Brahman because they all are like religions that were made in the Middle Eastern region.
Hmm.
So are they indirectly worshipping the Brahma Jyoti itself because they said the god's formless, the gods does not have a form.
Yeah, Abrahamic religion means impersonalistic.
So it's technically part of Sanatan Dharma as well if they're practicing their own sects.
Yeah, you can say so.
Okay.
Okay. So now in the next verse. So now till 29 verse, he's just saying about principle of sacrifice, which is present in all the parts. Now he gives from 30 to 33 purpose of sacrifice is mentioned, and there's a very important verse. Sarve pyete yajna vido. That means people, when they perform sacrifice, they get a higher taste for performing sacrifices. They will like doing it. Therefore, the word amrita is used because it's very nectarian. Yagnashishta means the result of performing. Yagnashishta means the result of performing the yajna. When they get the result, they will want to perform more and more. The spiritual yajnas. Yanti Brahma Sanatanam. Yanti Brahma Sanatanam means at the end of their life, they'll go back to spiritual world. So this culminates the. I mean, this verse talks about what results one obtains.
All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reactions, and having tasted the nectar of the results of sacrifices, they advance towards the supreme eternal atmosphere.
Yeah, just a minute. Yeah. It's 8:07, but all of your prasadam is secure. So just a couple of minutes and wind up. I'm just checking my notes if I missed anything. So therefore, in this entire yajna section, you will find. Are you able to see?
Do you mind closing
Wow.
the other side?
How come you're able to see? How are you able to see this notes? Because I'm not connected to the. Really? I thought it was that. Mm. No, I think it's shared on Zoom. So therefore, I was sharing on Zoom, and Zoom is sharing. Correct. Yeah. Okay. So good. I don't know if you can. If it's clear. Okay, you can see this. Are you able to see this? Yeah. So when you perform yajna in spiritual consciousness, it is called as Brahma yajna. So yajna means Brahma yajna for us. Other yajnas we don't give too much importance. The concept of yajna does exist, but here we are talking about Brahma yajna. Now Brahma yajna also has a goal. So like last time, just some time ago, we were discussing what are the constituents in yajna. So in Brahma yajna, the oblations are Brahma. That means spiritual. Instruments are oblation means I think what you put hutam, ahuti. The ingredients are spiritualized. Then the instruments used, they're also spiritualized. The fire, which consumes everything, that's also spiritualized. The person is also present in a spiritual consciousness. The goal, what you get, is also spiritualized as spiritual world, and absorption is also there. So in Brahma Yajna, when we perform Brahma Yajna, what is Brahma Yajna? To please or satisfy Lord Vishnu. That makes Yajna Brahma Yajna. And the result of that is, as one pleases Lord Vishnu, more and more one becomes detached from this world. Yajnata karmano nitya lokoyam karma bandhana. In third chapter, we've already done this verse. So, for example, say now we are listening to Bhagavad Gita. I'm using iPad, iPhone, some mic. Because the whole aim of whatever I'm doing is trying to distribute Krishna consciousness, which is according to verse 18.68-69. So it is pleasing the Supreme Lord. Therefore, what I'm doing is yajna. You understanding? Because the activity performed with certain goal. So now, because the goal is to please the Supreme Lord, whatever is involved, what is involved? Phone is involved. These are instruments. Yeah. So they are material and spiritual. They become spiritualized because the goal is to please Krishna. Now the oblations, instruments we talked about. So oblations means probably we are giving some time, resources that goes in. they are also spiritualized. Hmm. Then the that means some things are also sacrificed while doing that is also spiritualized. The person, I should be doing this in a spiritual consciousness and with great absorption. So then this whole thing becomes, you able to understand? So when we discuss, when we use all this, when we put up a class, that also becomes Brahma Yajna. When we go together and do Kirtan on the street, that's also Brahma Yajna. Basically, anything done with the goal to please the Supreme Lord Vishnu or Krishna, whatever is involved in doing so, Haribo, whatever is involved in doing so, everything becomes spiritual. That means now this is no more material. Now, does it have any benefit? Huh? Okay. No, I'm saying instrument became spiritual. I will go back to garden. What does it mean?
It's like a way of for us to connect and learn. So that's how it's become like spiritual, because at this moment, right, it's not being just used to, I don't know, like talk with your friends or play games, whatever. Right now it's being used to.
So I will say now, right now the phone is spiritual. So
Hmm.
what? My question is, so what?
It will not give you any karmic reaction.
My phone, it was anyway not going to give me karmic reaction. My actions will give me karmic reaction.
But if you're using
Yes.
a product, let's say a phone is used and it has certain minerals that came from Africa and children were killed to mine those minerals. So we have certain bad reactions if you're purchasing that product.
Okay, good. It burns up sinful reactions. बोल दो ना सीधा. Correct. It burns up sinful reactions. Very good.
ESG norms.
Because sarve pete yajna vido yajna kshapita kalmashaha. It burns up sinful
If
reactions.
we are using it for good purposes, those
Good
people-
name, spiritual.
spiritual purpose, those people would also get certain benefits.
You can say so, no
for
problem.
sacrifice
Okay, whatever we offer in the material world is reaching spiritual world.
through the yajna.
Okay, like Lord Vishnu is satisfied, but I will not put. I cannot send this iPhone to spiritual world. No.
So this is the
So,
medium
yeah.
to reach to the spiritual world.
Correct. Agreed. Agreed. Now, when I say the instruments are also spiritualized for us with respect to practical thinking and application, what does it mean?
You can use it for
Hmm.
spiritual practice.
You can use it for spiritual practice. Okay. It's always spiritualized, correct. It's always spiritualized because I'm using it for class. What does that mean?
Does that mean we don't own those and we accept that it is not our property?
Okay, we understand that this doesn't. Krishna is the owner, and we are just users of Krishna. We are just part of Yajna. Okay. So what? My question is, so what?
Prabhuji,
Yes.
one thing could be like if we look at the example of the case of Arjun. So there
Okay.
are a lot of things which are spiritual in material in nature that he did or acquired in his lifetime, but the larger purpose was to please Krishna in terms of his objective of re-establishing dharma. Similarly, for us, or for this case, it could be to preach Krishna consciousness. That is the larger objective. So,
Correct.
keeping that objective in mind, whatever material things one may encounter, be it money or these devices or whatever, if one has that clarity in mind that this is meant for the larger purpose
Correct.
of preaching Krishna consciousness, then in that sense, all these material things are spiritualized to that we are clear in our mind that that is the larger goal and we are not sort of getting any sense gratification or ego massage that I acquired so much material things and I should feel good about it.
Very good. Very good. I'll put your words in a simple way. He actually answered. What he said is basically we don't get victimized by the material energy because instruments are spiritualized. What does that mean? Is more we because as soon as you deal with material energy, it is something you are dealing with fire. You have to be a little careful. So when you use the instruments for Krishna conscious purpose, they become spiritualized. That means they don't possess that harm. They will not harm you. To the degree you are dealing with material energy, to that degree you have to be very careful. That means you have to increase your spiritual dosage. But the instruments themselves are spiritualized. then they will not you will not be victimized by material energy. Like some one thing what Devang said is, we will not think, okay, this belongs to me. It will purify consciousness. And what Aryan said is, it clears our sinful reactions. And what Prabhu Nitesh said is that it is we don't get victimized by material energy. So maybe we'll discuss more about being victimized by material energy and so on and so forth next time. Yeah. So we'll pause here. You can see this. So this is what something we want to discuss about yajna. Small thing. So we covered from 24 to 34, the biggest section we have done till now ever in one sitting. So thank you very much. We will pause here.
Question in the beginning.
You got a question in the beginning.
If everyone's hungry, they can leave. I can
Yeah, that's why I'm worrying. Otherwise, I can continue. I'm also worried about people taking prasadam. Yeah.
We can discuss it then.
We can discuss that. Okay.
I also have one more question.
Yeah, you can ask however you want. So thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Thank you for patient sitting and hearing. Not very easy for modern day youths to sit down. Hare Krishna. Thank you, online devotees.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the lecture.
Hare Krishna. Can you just switch off?